The morning sun had barely climbed above the rooftops when an old rusty car rolled into the crowded weekend auto market, its faded paint peeling away like forgotten memories and its engine coughing with every slow movement. People turned their heads, not because the car looked impressive, but because it looked like it belonged in a junkyard instead of a dealership. Laughter spread through the crowd before the engine even stopped. A few people pointed toward the man stepping out of the driver's seat, while others quietly shook their heads, convinced they already knew how this story would end. Standing beside the broken vehicle was a tired-looking single father named Rowan Mercer, holding the tiny hand of his 7-year-old son, Micah, who smiled at the rusty car as if it were the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Nobody knew that exactly 21 days later, the same people laughing that morning would stand frozen in complete silence, unable to believe what they were seeing. Before we begin this unforgettable story, if you believe kindness, hard work, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to HeartNest Tales. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories that remind the world hope is never truly lost. Rowan had never imagined his life would become so difficult. Only 4 years earlier, he had owned a small neighborhood repair shop that kept food on the table and laughter inside his modest home. Then life struck harder than anyone could prepare for. His wife passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone to raise little Micah while trying to keep his business alive. Medical bills swallowed nearly every dollar he had saved. Customers slowly disappeared as newer repair shops opened across town. Eventually, the shop closed its doors forever, and Rowan accepted temporary construction work just to keep paying rent and buying groceries. Every evening, he returned home exhausted, yet somehow still found enough strength to help Micah with homework, cook simple dinners, and read bedtime stories that always ended with hope, even when Rowan himself struggled to believe those endings. Transportation became another challenge. The old pickup truck he relied on finally broke beyond repair. Without a vehicle, reaching construction sites scattered across the county became almost impossible. Missing jobs meant missing paychecks. Missing paychecks meant unpaid bills. Rowan searched for weeks, visiting used car lots where prices made his heart sink. Every decent vehicle cost far more than he could afford. He refused to borrow money because debt had already stolen too much from his life. One bright Saturday morning, he discovered an advertisement about a damaged sedan being sold at a public vehicle auction. Most people ignored it because the description honestly admitted the car barely started. Curious, Rowan visited the auction with Micah. The vehicle looked terrible. Rust covered its doors. The windshield carried long cracks. The seats were torn. Even the steering wheel looked worn beyond recognition. Yet when Rowan quietly inspected underneath, he noticed something others ignored. The frame remained remarkably solid. The engine, despite years of neglect, had no major structural damage. The problems looked frightening, but many were reparable. When the bidding started, almost everyone laughed instead of raising a hand. Some joked that the vehicle belonged in a scrapyard. Others said only a fool would waste money on something so broken. Rowan remained calm. He counted every dollar in his pocket before making one careful bid. No one challenged him. For less than the price of a modern smartphone, the rusty sedan became his. The laughter grew louder as Rowan slowly drove away. Several strangers recorded videos with their phones, amused by the sight of a single father proudly driving what they believed was worthless metal. Those short clips spread across local social media pages, collecting mocking comments from people who had never met him. Rowan never saw those videos because every evening he was too busy working double shifts and caring for Micah. Instead of feeling embarrassed, Rowan saw opportunity where others saw failure. Every night after work, once Micah finished dinner and homework, father and son walked to a borrowed garage behind a retired neighbor's house. The elderly neighbor, Harold Quinn, had spent decades as a mechanic before retirement. Seeing Rowan's determination reminded Harold of his younger days. He offered the garage free of charge and occasionally shared advice, refusing every attempt at payment. The next 21 days became a journey built on patience rather than miracles. Rowan carefully removed rust panel by panel. He cleaned every bolt that could still be saved. He rebuilt damaged wiring. He searched local recycling yards for affordable replacement parts. Whenever he found pieces beyond repair, He handcrafted solutions using skills learned during years repairing machines. Harold occasionally watched quietly, amazed by Rowan's attention to detail. Micah became his father's biggest helper. He organized tools, cleaned parts with old towels, and proudly held a flashlight during late evenings. Sometimes exhaustion filled Rowan's eyes, but every time he looked toward his son, he found another reason to continue. Their garage echoed not with complaints, but with quiet determination. Every repaired piece represented one more step toward stability. Harold quietly contacted a few former mechanic friends who donated and used parts, gathering dust in storage rooms. None expected recognition. They simply respected Rowan's determination. One local paint supplier, hearing about the project through Harold, offered leftover paint from discontinued colors. Although the cans were small, Rowan creatively blended them into a beautiful deep metallic blue unlike anything sold commercially. As the days passed, the rusty sedan slowly disappeared beneath careful craftsmanship. The engine purred smoothly for the first time in years. Fresh upholstery replaced torn seats using durable recycled fabric. The cracked dashboard became polished and restored. New headlights illuminated the garage with brilliant white beams. Even the wheels received patient attention until they looked almost factory new. Exactly 21 days after purchasing the car, the annual Community Renewal Festival arrived. The festival celebrated local businesses, volunteers, and neighborhood improvement projects. Rowan had no intention of attending until Harold secretly submitted their restoration project for the event's Second Chance Showcase, highlighting remarkable examples of restoration and perseverance. That sunny afternoon, families gathered throughout the park while restored vehicles lined the exhibition area. Among expensive classic cars worth thousands stood Rowan's once-forgotten sedan, now shining brilliantly beneath the daylight. Most visitors walked past without recognizing it. The judges awarded Rowan the festival's highest honor for innovation, craftsmanship, and community inspiration. Along with the trophy came something far more valuable. A local automotive education center offered Rowan a full-time position teaching restoration techniques to young apprentices. The salary exceeded anything he had earned in years and included health insurance, stable hours, and educational benefits for Micah. News reporters interviewed Rowan, expecting dramatic speeches about proving critics wrong. Instead, Rowan simply smiled and explained that people often judged broken things before understanding their potential. He said rust could cover metal just as grief could cover hope, but neither lasted forever when someone cared enough to rebuild patiently. Those words spread far beyond the festival. Millions watched his restoration videos online, not because of expensive equipment or dramatic editing, but because every frame carried authenticity. Parents struggling through difficult seasons found encouragement. Young mechanics discovered inspiration. Communities organized local restoration workshops after seeing Rowan's example. Most touching of all was Micah's quiet pride. Standing beside his father during the award ceremony, he no longer saw a tired man constantly worried about tomorrow. He saw a hero who never surrendered even when the world laughed. That confidence changed the little boy forever. Years later, he would tell classmates that courage wasn't about never failing. Courage meant continuing to build, even while others expected you to quit. The people who mocked Rowan eventually apologized. Some admitted they had judged him because appearances seemed easier than understanding someone's story. Rowan accepted every apology without bitterness. Carrying anger would only have slowed the future he worked so hard to create. The old sedan remained parked outside Rowan's new workplace for years, not because he couldn't afford something newer, but because it reminded everyone who passed by that value is rarely found on the surface. Students often touched its polished hood before beginning their own projects, believing it represented hope more than transportation. If this story has touched your heart so far, take a moment to write the word "second chance" in the comments below. One simple comment may encourage someone else who feels like giving up today. As seasons passed, Rowan's life continued improving, but he never forgot the difficult mornings when every dollar mattered and every smile required strength. Whenever struggling parents visited the training center seeking advice, he offered free weekend classes and sometimes quietly repaired their vehicles himself without charging a single cent. He believed the greatest reward for overcoming hardship was helping someone else survive theirs. One peaceful afternoon, Rowan and Micah drove the restored sedan along the same road where strangers had laughed only weeks before. The sunlight reflected beautifully from the blue paint, but what truly shined was something no polish could create: the quiet confidence of a father who refused to let pain define his family's future. The journey had never been about fixing a broken car. It had always been about rebuilding hope, restoring dignity, and teaching a little boy that true wealth is measured by perseverance, compassion, and the courage to keep moving forward when everyone else believes you're already defeated. If this story inspired you, reminded you never to judge by appearances, or gave you hope during a difficult season, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with family and friends, and subscribe to HeartNest Tales. Every act of support helps these stories reach hearts that may need a reminder that no life is ever too broken for a second chance. Because sometimes the world's greatest victories don't begin with applause. They begin with laughter from people who cannot yet see the masterpiece hidden beneath the rust.